Hi, I'm Stephen Thompson.
And I'm Kim Coco. We're the authors of the book, It Just Makes Sense, 7 Principles for a Joyful and Stress-Free Life.
Today we're going to be talking about the roadmap to manifestation. And I would like to begin by having you think about taking a car trip. And what would you need if you were going to take a car trip across the country? Let's say you're going from the West Coast to the East Coast.
Which we actually did last summer, and it was fabulous. But go ahead.
Right after floods and everything, it was quite a road trip because we had lots of detours getting across Mississippi and the Missouri.
Yes.
So we did enjoy it, though. It was quite an adventure.
Quite an adventure.
So on this road trip that we decided to take, we had to do some strategic planning. We had to make sure that the car that we were going to use would be mechanically sound and would get us there, to the best of our ability at least. We had to make sure that we had the funds to put gas in the car and afford that part of it. We also had to know where we were going to stop, how many places we were going to need to stay overnight, how long it would take us, what were we going to eat along the way. Were we going to go for 3, 4, 5 days clear across the country with lots and lots of ice chests, or were we going to stop? And we had some funny experiences with that, but it all worked out. We planned ahead. And we had to know, in this particular case, what were the detours, because we had been watching all the winter and the storms and the flooding, and we knew that a lot of the highways were closed. So we had to plan all of that. Now, to do this, we had to use a lot of the tools that we've been teaching in the videos that we have been sharing over the last few months. And we're going to summarize some of those so that you can remember what we've covered and also how we kind of kept our car and our trip in alignment with what we were trying to accomplish.
Can I add on to that?
Sure.
Okay, so you can do an adjunct to this analogy where going from point A to point B, in our case from California to Florida, we did fill up our car at several different gas stations. We found hotels along the way to stay at. We did find restaurants to eat, even though there were some on detours. And we made the trip as smoothly as we could, as Steve said, planning ahead. Now, the trip would have been very difficult had the bridges been closed, which some of them were. We had to take a detour. The hotels were closed, restaurants had no food, gas stations were out. It would have been a really challenging trip. And so what we've covered so far in the past 10 videos are ways to say, great, I now know how to keep the gas stations open, the restaurants open, the hotels open, how to look at this road trip, this destination, and put the pieces together so they make sense. Now, in an adjunct to that, all of the things we do teach you how to keep your car in alignment, because you can have all these great, grandiose plans, but unless you have the car that Steve said is sound and is going to get you there, it's really not going to be a trip. So in addition to knowing that these things are in place for you along the journey, it's really essential to keep your own car in alignment, your own personal vehicle in alignment. And that's really what common sense living is about. Being stress-free and joyful, keeping everything in alignment so that you can move forward as you take your road trip through life. And so why don't you just summarize some of the things we've talked about so far?
And in this summary, our hope is that you will rekindle what we have talked about and see if you have put any of these little tidbits of information and these little practical suggestions into practice in your own daily life. Because one of the beginning things that we talked about, oh my gosh, a long time ago now, was the fact that if you implement these ideas in your life, by now you should be experiencing a little more joy, a little more happiness, a little more certainty. And that was our goal in the first place. So some of the things, I'm just going to read all the things that we kind of wanted to summarize as far as titles. And
before we get into how to really set your car in the direction that you want. Because we haven't covered that yet.
No, we haven't, but
Okay.
you're going to get to cover that,
I will.
right?
Good.
Okay, good.
Yep.
All right, so what we covered, some of our titles were Simple Ways to Boost Your Energy in Daily Living. And we talked about the Energy Life Force Bank. We talked about, oh my gosh, so many ways of perception and how to take the way that you look at things and turn it to a positive. Getting good bed rest. I gave 10 or so several tips on ways that boost your life force energy so that you can live more actively and feel better into wellness. Creating balance in your schedule. That involved the 3 spheres and how to look at the business circle, the personal circle, and your spiritual circle. And even with the limited amount of time we all seem to have, balancing those all together so you could actually feel more productive and feel more energetic at the end of the day, and know that you're also doing a lot to support humanity, giving, coming from the heart space, all those kinds of things. Adding values for success. The value wheel we talked about was picking out value words that are important to you, learning what they mean to you, how to enhance those and act upon them. We talked about values being intrinsic. I read a Gandhi statement that your beliefs become your destiny through the values you hold. We just covered a lot of information with that. It's kind of amazing how much material we actually covered in these short little snippets. Compared to all the things we teach in all the other areas, we still covered a lot, which I'm very happy about. Making confident decisions. Knowing how to feel when things were going wrong in your heart, that your mind and your mouth was still going, okay, I still need to do that. How to work away from obligation but step into responsibility. We talked about making a risk list was one of the ideas.
A risk list. That
a
sounds
risk
like a
list.
tongue twister.
If
Say
I
that
do
5
this, what are
times
the
fast.
risks that I'm taking, and then trying to look at other ways to do it so you didn't take as much risk. Lots of things with that. Having the next one was having positive beliefs that support your goals. We were talking about being sensory-based people and how to look at everything from smells and taste, but how you visualize things, auditorily, how you listen to things, and kinesthetically, how you feel about things. And then taking those positive beliefs, what can I do to enhance my life by keeping my attitude open, aware, and positive rather than going into negativity. And some of these actually we kind of played back and forth on things we'd already talked about, but we added a lot of concepts with that. Using awareness to understand your actions.
I think awareness is a tool we use in various aspects, not just to increase our actions, but to understand ourselves a whole lot better, and then how we're going to move with action into the rest of our existence.
Yeah, and that meant look at your authentic self. Don't put yourself down, but be aware of the things that you might not be all that good at. We also talked about learning, keeping your mind focused so that you have new awarenesses. You don't just get stuck in a rut. So when...
How many more do you have?
Oh, just a couple, but I was using awareness to understand your actions. That's what it was. So when you have a new awareness about who you are authentically and how you want to act out, that brings the values you hold into play. It brought back into, I'm going to be making deposits in my life force energy bank rather than making withdrawals, because I'm taking actions that actually promote my wellness and other people's wellness that I'm associated with, all sorts of things. The next one was enhance all areas of personal wellness.
Use the hand as your guide on that one, talking about all the fingers, how they mean something.
Now, how your wellness centers around your physical body, your emotional body, your social environment. It also was the intellectual, how much you think, and making good choices and good decisions, and keeping yourself at the cutting edge by staying up with things that are going on intellectually around you, and your spiritual model, which went back to the values. So we covered that in some detail. And last but not least, changing your perspective from negative or positive. Oh my goodness, I'm trying to remember how we even did that.
10 ways to change your perspective instantly. It's just a matter of asking some questions when you feel frustrated or upset or anything negative. Just by asking some simple questions, you can switch that around to positive really fast.
Yeah, and that, again, came to awareness that letting your body be your guide. That when you started to feel stress, there was something causing that stress. What is my perception about that? And then what can I do about it? We asked some questions. Yeah. How would I like it to be instead?
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
Great.
And we had a lot of other tidbits that came in and out throughout that series. So anyway, with a well-kept car, what do we want to do with it, Kim?
That depends on you. What do you want to do in your life? What do you want to accomplish? What goals do you have for yourself, for your business, for your family, for your spiritual practice? Essentially, once you've kept your car in alignment, your own personal vehicle in balance, and with enough energy to move forward, it's really the destination. What goals are you setting? Where do you want to travel? And there are 3 things that remind me to do this. And there are 3 easy steps, which can be fun. I think they can be a lot of fun, at least. The first is set your intention. Set your course. It's like setting your GPS right off the bat. When we left California and we knew we were driving to Wyoming, you had a map. You knew which way you were going to go, and it only got us through day 1, but we had an idea of where we were going.
But I do remember day 3 or 4 when everything was on detours and we got into country that didn't even have a highway and no roads and no road maps, farmhouses for miles, and I've never been so thankful to our Highway Sally that kept saying, turn left, turn right. We didn't know north, south, east, or west. All we saw was a beautiful moon that was starting to set.
We would have needed to stop and ask for directions at that point.
We were talking about it several times. So, we were almost out of gas. We didn't even know where the next gas station was. Thank you, GPS.
Yeah, we were very thankful for that. But the point is, we were starting at a point and we were having an end point, and we knew where that point was. We didn't exactly know how that would end up, but that's part of step 2. Actually, maybe step 3. But step 1 is setting your intention. Know where you're going to go. Have a goal. It could be something that you want to happen in the next 3 months. It could be in a year. It could be next week. It depends on, again, where you want to go and how you want to get there. The second part of that is once you set these goals, it helps to write them down, tell somebody about them. I create a vision board. I have a 3 by 3 foot cork board in my office, and I go in and I change up the pictures and what I want and put things around, so it keeps me inspired.
Very energized.
Which really leads to step 2, and that's your attention. So once you have your goal, you want to put as much attention on it as you can. And it's something like, we've heard the phrase, you use it or you lose it. It's the same kind of thing with the goals you have. If you're not paying attention to those goals, then they just tend to get stuck in the back of your mind. And, I mean, you might meander your way through life getting some things you want, getting some things you don't want. Some things go your way and some things don't, and you wonder, well, what's going on? It's the attention. What attention are you putting on these goals? What steps are you taking that are joyful and fun and that make you feel good? The more you feel good, the easier it is to allow these things to start coming together in your life. And with that being said, the attention part, there is some patience. If any of you have grown a garden, you know that it does take some patience and some learning and some observing. And you plant something, it doesn't necessarily sprout up overnight.
Weeds do.
So weeds do, which is unwanted usually. But if you have something that you want, it doesn't always grow overnight. So see if you can be patient while you're still putting your focus on it, and understand that you're doing the best you can. Keep taking steps that bring you joy and make you have fun along the way and keep you inspired, because that's going to allow you to be in a state where things come to you more easily. I do notice with a lot of people who set goals, which is why our roadmap's a little bit different, is they have this goal out there and they say, oh, I can't wait to get there. And then they start in their road trip of their personal vehicle and they keep going, well, why am I not this far? Why am I not here yet? Oh, why do I have to take a detour? And they start noticing things that are blocking them.
They actually start focusing on the things that are blocking them, distracting them from the end goal.
Yeah, and when you're distracted from the end goal or you're focusing on the negative, it's really taking away from your ability to get there. It's almost literally as a stop completely towards that goal. And I'm not saying that your path is going to be perfect, but if you look at those, if you do encounter a challenge and you keep a positive attitude and you ask the right questions or get help or a bunch of number of strategies that can help you, use that challenge as an opportunity. Maybe you just had a detour like we did on our road trip, and then you still get to your destination because it's still a priority and your attention's still there.
That kind of says be flexible with the outcome. Be flexible with the outcome because, well, sometimes the outcome is even better than what you started off thinking it was going to be. I noticed that when we started these whole programs of these videotape series and all the different things it took to create the websites and everything else, that there was a tremendous amount of learning and a lot of, at times, frustration. But our end goal was to start and learn and how to create better and better products and be more of service. That was really a big part of our goal. And we are still learning. We're still doing it, and it is getting better and better.
Well, and the beautiful part is it doesn't end. We have our intention, we have our goal, we've placed our attention on it, we do the learning and the required research and keep excited along the way. And I didn't get to step 3, which is the manifestation. It's actually the receiving part of it. So it's standing on the platform and accepting your trophy or your award, or it's having a relationship you desire.
Celebrate.
And it's celebrating that you're accomplishing something.
Yeah.
That's part of it. And so the beautiful part is just because you manifested or you're celebrating an accomplishment or doing something like that, it's never ending. The process isn't done. You get to create some more. You get to try something else. Where do you want to go next? And that's the best part about living. You get to choose your destination, figure out what you can do to get there, and have as much fun along the way. So, you know, we called it the roadmap to manifestation because in a couple of simple steps, you can start to redirect your path. And with some really common sense tools, you can keep yourself in alignment to make the journey a lot more enjoyable.
So saying all of that, stay following our website. Is that the right way to say that?
Sure.
Check in on our website. We have things
Stay
coming
in touch.
all the time. We're doing more and more new things, traveling a lot, sharing a lot. We're learning from our participants just as much as what we have learned to share with them, I think. Lots of good ideas. We'd love to hear from you. info@itjustmakesense.com.
It's on the link below you. You
Yeah.
can check that out.
Yeah. So anything else before we close this
Please
series?
sign off. No, just thank you so much for listening. We appreciate you and value your time spent with us, so thank you.
Thank you.